Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? What a crazy time, huh, here at the North Carolina Zoo, and I'm sure at your house as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode of Living with Nature. This is episode 4.
I don't want
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But before we do that, it's a little different around here. COVID's impacting us too. COVID-19 is impacting us. The zoo is temporarily closed, I'm sure many of you know. And if you've tuned in to some of our Facebook stuff, thank you so much. We appreciate that. But normally, if you've been here before, there's more than just me here. There's usually a couple students and there's a Leslie over there, but we're practicing social distancing. So we're gonna go one person at a time. And as you guys know, the schools are out. So Emma and Kaylee couldn't be here today. It'd be nice to have oh wait, here she is, here's Leslie right here. Is that about right? So there's Leslie, she's with us, so that's just kind of nice. But it is strange. I do want you guys know that the keepers are taking care of the animals their best that they can. And there's not really impact on those guys. They're here doing their job, providing that care, providing that wonderfulness that they always do for those guys. But we are under a little bit of weirdness today. Besides just us, one of our experts today got sick too. So we're missing Heather, but you're gonna meet another expert in place where we were able to juggle some things around and get things going for you. But it's kind of strange looking around and there's nobody here. So it's kind of a weird thing. But today is going to be all about international conservation. We're going overseas to talk about some things the zoo is involved with. So we're going into international conservation. How are we saving animals, saving species in other places? So that's what today is all about. We do want to thank Oliver Rubber for providing the funds and the experience for the money for this. We truly appreciate that their help on presenting this. My name is Steve. You're going to meet Leslie a little bit later on. And today we're going to be going to Africa. Exciting to do 2 of our programs. We're going to a place in the middle of nowhere. We're going to the Mariana Islands to learn about a really cool program that's going on over there. That one is birds and snakes. In Africa, we're going to talk about anesthesia. What we're doing to make sure that animals are safe when we're going through procedures with them. And another thing we're going to do in Africa is our SMART program. And you'll meet one of the guys that's really involved heavily with that SMART technology, which is exciting, exciting stuff. So we've maintained our 6 feet so far. Make sure you guys are doing it. Make sure you're washing your hands. It's keeping everything good and where it's supposed to be. And we're so excited about moving on with this. But I do want you guys, Tiffany, did you show them how empty it is? There's a few employees still here. And it's just such an amazing thing. Here it is, 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. It's just kind of strange that we don't have anybody in the park. But we're so looking forward to it when you guys can come back and visit with us. We truly appreciate you tuning in virtually. We're so excited you tuned in virtually for this. But we can't wait to have you guys back as the spring goes in and summer happens. We're going to be happy to have you guys here so you can come visit the zoo as you can. One other thing real quick, if you do get a chance and you enjoy these, you can get online on Facebook Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 o'clock. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. We're going to be doing some Facebook Live episodes, bringing some other parts of the zoo to you guys then as well. So check us out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock for our Zoo Adventures series that we're ramping up as well. We've done gators so far, we've done red wolves, and we're going to keep on bringing you some exciting animals down the road. So, Africa, Marianas Islands, taking you overseas, checking out some really cool stuff. Are you guys ready? Do you guys want to see some really cool stuff? I think it's going to be exciting. You're going to meet some neat people today. The first stop are the Mariana Islands, out in the middle of nowhere. And I think Leslie is over there waiting for us. I think she's also got a special guest. Let's see if she's ready for us. Hey, Leslie, are you ready for us?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, hi. Thanks, Steve. We're having a great time. Yeah, we aren't actually in the Marianas Islands today. And in fact, we aren't able to go to the Marianas Islands this year due to travel restrictions. So I'm here at our aviary habitat, where inside we do have tons of songbirds in there, since we're going to be talking about some of the neat stuff that is happening in the Marianas Islands. Now, originally we had Heather who is a vet tech or veterinary technician at the North Carolina Zoo, was going to be our expert today. Unfortunately, she woke up a little sick, so she is being very cautious and not coming in today. But we've had tons of different staff at the North Carolina Zoo actually go to the Marianas Islands and to help out with this research project. So people like our old general curator, Ken, our keeper, an aviary keeper right here at the aviary, Stephanie, Heather, our vet tech. And then also this year, they started kind of a new part of it and have been kind of doing a really cool educational component of it. So one of our fun, awesome, amazing educational staff members was actually supposed to be going to the Marianas today, or not today, but this year. She is not able to go anymore. Poor Nikki, so sad. I'm so sorry, Nikki. But we have Nikki here. We're gonna kind of keep on that big, nice social distancing, so that's why we're gonna be like awkwardly standing apart from each other, and yelling to the camera. To tell us a little bit about kind of the stuff that they are doing at the Marianas Island, and then also what her task as an educator is, her role as an educator with the Marianas Islands will be. But first and foremost, we got to figure out where the Marianas Islands are, right?
Oh yeah.
So I have this nice big globe. I'm going to come closer to you all. Here we are. It's much smaller than my big map. So right here-ish. Yeah, right near Raleigh. There's the United States. The Marianas Islands is
20-hour flight.
Woo, 20-hour flight right there. So this is the Marianas Islands. It's near Guam and also Saipan, pretty close to like the Philippines right here, off the coast of China, or excuse me, Asia. So, you said it's a 20-hour flight, right?
I think at least, depending on how many layovers you have.
When you were gonna go, how were you gonna get there?
Well, I'm gonna walk.
Oh, okay. You better start now.
I know, I'm gonna go now. So no, literally, I had like 5 different flights. So I was gonna fly from Greensboro to New Jersey, and then from New Jersey to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to Guam, and then from Guam to Saipan.
Wow.
So literally 5 flights.
5 different
And it would have
flights to
taken
get there.
probably a day and a half at least.
Wow. Pretty amazing. Yeah, it's pretty much on the other side of the world.
It literally is.
So
yeah.
it's not very close to here.
Nope.
So why all the way on the other side of the world? Why were we going there?
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's actually a Commonwealth of the United States. It's part of America. Yeah, so Guam and the Mariana Islands.
I legit
Or
did
it's
not know
called-
that.
They call it CNMI because the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is a mouthful.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
CNMI, it's a little easier to say. So yeah, so they're part of the United States. So why not go there?
Why not? But we're not going there for like fun.
No, we're not going for suntan.
So
no.
so what is happening over in the Marianas Islands with birds?
Right. So it's all about the birds. Bring my inner bird nerd out. That's right. Well, the problem is, for many years, when you're on an island, you're living on an island, and you don't have any predators. Okay. Which is something that would come and eat you. Yeah. And so birds there for many years, they didn't have any predators. They didn't have to worry about anything like that. And so they were, literally, they didn't have to teach their young to avoid predators or how to do that. And then the World War started, and ships started coming to these islands. And on those ships were stowaways.
Stowaways.
Yes. And it was a snake.
Okay.
It's called the brown tree snake.
Okay. Well, so snakes are here.
Yeah.
And we have birds and snakes that live together, and there's not an issue. And I mean, I love snakes. You're the bird nerd. I love snakes
too. I love snakes. Are awesome.
So they're not really a problem here, but I guess like you were saying, yeah, if the birds there didn't have predators,
No.
if these snakes came all of a sudden,
They had no idea
then
what to do.
they didn't know what to do. Yeah. So
Whereas like our birds here, they've been around, so they know what a predator is. They know how to teach their young how to avoid all that stuff, how to avoid predators, how to stay safe for as long as possible.
Uh-huh.
They didn't have that. Those birds there don't have that, and it was quick, so it wasn't like they could learn it.
right.
Over time, which is what our birds did. They learned over time how to escape predators. Where on the islands, it was fast. It came, the snakes came, and they're like, oh my God, a bird buffet. And they it's gone.
Okay.
So if you can imagine, when you
That's
wake up
really
in the
sad, yeah.
morning, and that's my favorite thing. In the morning, the birds are active. There's all kinds of noise, and you hear that first thing in the morning. If you go to Guam,
There's none.
you don't hear that.
Wow.
So it's just to kind of, so they decimated the bird population. So they dropped their population so quickly.
Yeah.
And so the zoo stepped in and helped.
Step in and help. Yeah. We actually have a picture of a brown tree snake.
Yes.
So I think they're really cute.
They
but,
are.
Yeah, what they're doing is not so cute.
No, that's so much.
And
And
it's,
they're doing their job.
Yeah,
That's what
that
they're
is true.
supposed to do. But it's unfortunate the birds don't know how to cope with it.
right.
Haven't figured it out because they haven't had the time to learn.
Mhm. And so what we call that in the world, we call that an introduced species,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
So these brown tree snakes, like you were saying, they were introduced through ships. They were brought from where they weren't supposed to be into a new area, and they were able to just kind of like take over. And we also use words like invasive species in that as well, but they were specifically introduced. So hopefully you saw that cute little picture of that brown tree snake. So I have a question for everybody out there. This is all the way on the other side of the world, but does something like this, has anything like this ever happened in the United States? This introduction of species that kind of weren't supposed to be here. And I'm even thinking as specific as like snakes. So see if you can think of anywhere maybe that is happening, if it's happening, and type it in our chat. So you could see it. All right, we got to give them a little bit of we got to give them a little bit of time. This is always my hardest point because I am not a very patient person. So I'm like, all right, so the answer is. Well, so the first and foremost is it happening in the United States? What would your answer be, Nikki?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Did anybody have any answers as to where maybe this could be happening, where there's snakes being introduced into areas that they aren't originally from? I don't know. Nobody's saying anything.
Zoe said python.
Oh, so Zoe said pythons.
Nice.
You are right. Pythons in Florida. We get there's a lot of introduced species of snakes in Florida in the Everglades, and pythons, reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, and even as small as ball pythons.
Yeah.
And they were introduced from people who had them as pets and then didn't really want them
Cute
anymore.
little baby snakes.
Yeah, they get very, very big. So you're right. Very good. It's happening right here and very close to us as well, but also happening in the Marianas Islands.
Side of the world, yeah.
So good job, everybody. So
Also, suggestion of European starlings and house finches.
oh yeah, on the bird front,
Yep.
there's quite a few species of introduced animals or invasive species in North America for sure. So if you have more, feel free to write them down.
That's awesome.
We'll see what you all know, and pretty cool. So good job, team. Yes, we did it. A couple pictures or a couple of questions I have for you. So kind of like I know you did some training on kind of like how to help these birds. So what exactly are we doing with these birds? We're just going and like being like, we're here to help. We're here to help.
Well, the reason we're going is because some of these birds, they're what we call endemic, which is a big fancy word for that's the only place in the world we can find those birds.
Oh, wow.
And so when they're disappearing,
Yeah.
we don't want that to happen. We don't want them to become extinct. So that's why we're going over there to help them out. And so we have for many years going over and we've been trapping the birds. And then recently they started translocating, which is a big word, but basically means they move them from one island to another island. So some of the islands ships could get to, and that's where the snakes were kind of.
Oh,
Right
okay.
on.
Okay, so the
But
snakes
then-
aren't on every island.
Exactly.
Oh.
Some islands, they're just the ships can't get into
Uh-huh.
the coast, and so those are your snake-free islands. So they're taking some of the species that their numbers are just down so drastically, and they're translocating from those islands to the islands without snakes, and hope their populations will continue to grow and we won't lose some of these species.
Very cool. So translocating that, moving from one place to
Or
another.
shipping.
Shipping.
I think they've done helicopter. I think they've done shipping, ships. So yeah.
I think we have some pictures of two of the species of birds that you were specifically targeting.
I always forget the Rufus fantail and the Mariana fruit dove. The
Yeah,
two
so
species they were gonna target this year.
Our first picture will be of the Marianas fruit dove, a very beautiful, colorful dove. Super beautiful animal. And then the second picture is going to be that fantail, which has the actual fantail. If we, no, it should be that, but we might have not gotten the pictures up. But there we go. Yeah. There's always a lag on when we're talking and when things happen. So your first picture is that Mariana's fruit dove. Second picture is your fantail with the actual fantail. Very cool. Yeah, very cool species for sure. So how you're saying we trap them and move them? How do we do that? Can you show us? Yeah, we're staying. I'm gonna move off camera, and Nikki's gonna take it over from here.
All right. So I am somewhat trained. I've been practicing on this. So this is what we call a mist net. So I don't know if you can see it. As we get closer, it's probably gonna disappear. Can you see it? Probably not. Which is kind of doing its job, because when you hang this up high, you have to, first of all, you have to know what the birds eat and where their food is, and then you hang the net up kind of in their flightways, their pathways where they're flying, and they can't see this net. And so the birds will fly into the net. Let's see. I have my friend in here. So they will fly into the net. And it's usually not this tangled and a hot mess. As my training is, it would never look like this, but this is an old net that's pretty much retired. So, and they would fly into the net, and they get gently caught into it, and then you have to very gently try and figure out how to get them out. And it's pretty it's interesting how to get them out. Now I'm all tangled up, and it's easy to do. Thank you. And so you get the bird out.
If we can. This is why it's so important to have it not all rolled up, because it can be so hard to get them out of them. I think it's gonna come this way.
All right. Coming around this way?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. And this is why this net was torn up. Okay, probably shouldn't put them in there. This is why it's taking us the whole rest of the hour. There we go. Or not.
Maybe. All right. So we're
Scratching that.
Yeah.
So you would get the bird out because it's hanging up, and it's easier to get out when it's spread out. Trust me. And then once we have the bird out, we take them and then we put them in a bag, like so, very gently. And then we take measurements on them, we weigh them, anything like that. And so we would measure and weigh the birds, and then we would take it back to a housing area where they have boxes where they keep the birds.
Which I believe we actually have a picture of.
Yeah. So where they're going to stay temporarily until they can be translocated to that area, and they're fed, and the vets we have vet staff there who take care of them.
Oh,
sorry. Come and join us.
Yeah.
So there's vet staff there that check the birds, make sure they're healthy and they're doing right, and they test them every day, and they're fed, and they're taken well care of until they can be translocated over to that other island.
So how do you get to the other island? Because we're saying there are these very small islands, and that ships didn't go there originally. So do you swim with all of them on your back? Or?
I think so. I haven't been able to do it yet.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I think they do actually have to get into the water, probably from a big boat to a smaller boat,
right? Yeah,
and then have to kind of wade in too. And I know one year, I remember hearing they did helicopters.
Oh wow! Because it was so hard to get to.
Yeah. So.
And I know we do have and I don't know if it's already up, but we did have a picture of one of the boats that they took to go up, and so that might go up. We're not sure. So before we kind of wrap this up, you as an educator, it's really amazing that you get to partake in the research. But why did they pull an educator in this year?
Well, the last couple of years, they decided they want to get the people that live there involved and caring about this, because they're the birds in their backyard, and so they should be involved in it. And so they started doing programming at schools and libraries and festivals in the area. And so we were going to ramp it up. We were literally going to go to every 5th grade school on 3 different islands, all the middle schools and the high schools.
Okay, very cool.
So we're going to be very busy.
Yes.
And then it's really cool because the high school groups actually get to do a classroom, and then they go out to the site in the field.
Nice.
And so they get
That's
to
so
see
cool.
the mist netting and the boxes and where they're going to be and how this whole thing happens. And we're hoping to engage them so they'll care enough to want to continue to do it and maybe even be involved in the future.
Yeah, because they're on the ground there every day, like you said. So they're the ones that really need to care as much. We can't go there all the time.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
very
it's hard
cool.
to go across the front of the world.
Yeah. So you were making a program basically
Yeah,
for.
I was writing up a 5th grade program.
Very neat. It's so cool though to like be able to. I know as an educator, like to be able to be part of the research and the conservation efforts that we have going on here at the zoo. So I was very jealous, but I'm super happy that it was you because you love birds, and I'm just so excited for you. So hopefully next year.
Fingers crossed.
You'll be able to
Fingers
go, and we are going to pass it on over to Steve. We're gonna virtually fly or jet over to Africa from the Marianas Islands to hang out with Steve and learn about some smart stuff that's going on over there.
Smart stuff. I get it. That's pretty funny. Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, I messed up a little bit. As I told you, we're doing our social distancing, and I forgot to remind you guys that we have a crossword puzzle that's going on. Some of you may have seen it, may have downloaded it. So if you've got that with you, you might have the answers. We can share those with you as we're going forward. So my fault, I should have reminded you that before we sent it over to Leslie. It's kind of a bummer that our vet tech Heather wasn't able to be there with us, but it was neat that, and it's so awesome, and Nikki was able to jump in and fill in. Before we get to our expert, check out the view, right? You guys, this is amazing to see these critters. If you can tell smaller ones in there, that's last year's babies. And those are the aunts, the larger ones. The bigger ones are kind of like the ants, the aunts of the little ones. So we had to take a moment. I mean, Drew's important and all, but we thought you guys might want to see the rhinos, given the zoo is closed right now. So how was that? Thank you very much for coming up, Tiffany, and maybe sharing that view with a little better. So, smart stuff. And we have a smart person here with us in so many more ways than one. Drew, you're relatively new to CES, Conservation, Education, and Science section here at the zoo. Would you mind introducing yourself to our guests?
Sure. So my name is Drew Cronin. I'm the Associate Curator of International Conservation here at the North Carolina Zoo. I've been with the zoo for about 6 months now. It's been pretty exciting, great team, and
Awesome.
I'm really excited to be here.
Fantastic. And it's been great to have Drew. How about the title? Assistant Curator of International Conservation. Such a cool thing. He's going out and doing a whole lot of traveling. Before we get too deep in, some of our digital guests may have heard of SMART in the past. To make sure that everybody's on board, because I think we got some new people tuning in today. Can you tell our folks what SMART stands for and kind of what it does?
Sure thing, Steve. Yeah, so SMART is an acronym for Spatial Monitoring and Reporting Tool. And it's basically a software package that was designed for protected area management.
Okay.
And so there's a mobile app, there's a desktop software, and then there's stuff up on the internet as well in the cloud. And that is a way for people working in protected areas to monitor wildlife, to monitor the patrols that go out, and to keep track of threats to wildlife in the parks. They can manage that all in the computer software that we developed.
Nice. And the North Carolina Zoo was kind of really active in this early, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the North Carolina Zoo and the director of the Conservation, Education, and Science Department, Dr. Burgle, Dr. Rich Burgle, he was a founding member. The zoo was a founding member of the SMART Partnership. And so that's 9 of the world's biggest NGOs and some smaller ones like the North Carolina Zoo that have banded together to sort of commit to this software project for the long term. And they provide that free to the global conservation community.
Oh, it's a free thing. Yeah. Nice, good deal. All right, so I'm sure, you are now a member of Conservation, Education, and Science, and we all have 101 hats. What's kind of your role at the zoo and within SMART specifically?
Sure. So before coming to the zoo, I was actually the program manager for the SMART Partnership. So
I
ran the program based at Wildlife Conservation Society in New York.
Okay.
And so now that I've come here, I play sort of different roles. One of them is on the technical side, I represent the zoo in the user council. So we can make technical recommendations about the software development. And then on the zoo side, I support the sites in Africa and elsewhere around the world that we support both with funding, technical support, training, equipment, infrastructure. And so I go out into the field and I help the sites that we support to implement SMART at their sites.
Awesome, good deal. Well, before we kind of get into a little bit deeper, I want to grab a globe real quick, and can you kind of show our folks where we're talking about, where it is active right now? Whoa, look at that. So here's our, let me see, here's our, put you on the spot, like he doesn't know. All right, here's us over here, here's the United States. So without trying to break our distance protocol a little bit.
So the zoo works mostly down here in Southern Africa, but we also have a couple sites up here in Central Africa and Nigeria.
Okay, so kind of spin the globe, South America, United States, North America, Africa, and a lot down here in Southern Africa, a little bit in Northern Florida. That's kind of neat. Everything over there, Australia. So there you go. Kind of give you a perspective on where we're doing some of that work.
One cool thing, since we're looking at the globe, because the zoo founded SMART, the zoo is actually having an impact on sites all around the world. So SMART is used in over 800 sites around the world. And so because of what the zoo's developed, we're impacting conservation at hundreds of sites around the world.
Wow, that is so neat. Cool, that's awesome. I know one of the things, thank you very much. I know one of the things that SMART's involved with are poaching, stopping, some of this negative thing. Because we're not 100% sure of who all's tuned in, can we give a definition or kind of a description of what poaching or anti-poaching might be?
Sure. Yeah. So poaching is basically the killing of wildlife or the taking of wildlife. That's illegal. Within a protected area. An easy example for probably a lot of our viewers is for deer hunting.
Okay.
There's a season when you can hunt deer.
Oh, sure.
There's licensing and things like that. If you kill those deer, you go hunting for deer outside of the season or without a license, that's poaching.
Oh, so like illegal hunting.
Illegal hunting.
Is it always killing?
It's not always killing. And so what's cool about SMART is it's customizable, and people are using it for things like anti-poaching work, which is most of what it's used for.
Okay.
But it's also used for things like just managing wildlife in a park, so monitoring populations like lions or rhinos, managing vehicles or managing infrastructure at a park, and just knowing all the different parts, moving parts in your protected area, so you can kind of have this big picture view of what's happening and then best use your resources.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to ask you a question in a second, but I'm going to shoot one out to y'all as well. We're going to talk about the rangers in Africa. Why do you think Drew and the team at the North Carolina Zoo and involved with SMART in general, why are they going over and training the rangers of Africa how to do this? Why aren't they going somewhere else and pulling people in? Why would you train the people that live in the country on this program? Why do you think you might do that? I think once you guys start thinking about it, you go, oh, that makes sense. So let's turn it over to Drew. So why the folks in Africa?
Well, I think with respect to the North Carolina Zoo, a lot of the wildlife we have here in the zoo is from Africa. And so we want to not only save those species here in the zoo, but also save them in the wild. And so these animals are ambassadors for those wild species. And so our focus is really in sites where we can have, leverage our expertise at the zoo to protect those species. So black rhinos, elephants, lions, cheetahs, white rhinos.
So
gorillas, we're working to conserve those species in the wild, and those rangers, the folks we work with, they live with those species, and those are the resources of their country. So we want to help them succeed. Our goal is to help them succeed and safeguard their wild.
That is so cool. Did you catch that? So the folks that live there, folks that are passionate about their place, the animals in their home. Think about it. That's their backyard. For us, might be opossums, might be raccoons, white-tailed deer. For those guys, it's some of the animals that Drew listed off. And they're right there in the country. It's kind of their backyard, so we're taking care of those guys. You ran through some of the animals. What are some of the other animals that are involved in the SMART program that we're trying to work with?
Well, I think if we think about wildlife, a lot of people often think of these big charismatic species. So again, rhinos, the black and white rhinos, elephants, lions, cheetahs, gorillas, chimpanzees, tigers. And that's a lot of the focus, and that's useful because people know them. It's iconic. They're in zoos. You can kind of connect with them. But I think what's important to understand is that in saving these species, we're saving ecosystems as well. So we're not just saving we're not just saving the species. We're using those as a flagship, to try to save the habitat, the protected area.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, bigger areas than just one species represents.
Right. That's kind of cool. So it's almost like, you know, we're looking at individual species, but they're within that ecosystem, within a habitat. A lot of other animals are living there. So if we can work on these guys, almost like an umbrella. I like you used a really fun word. It's kind of this bigger base of things that we're
If
getting
we can
into.
save an elephant that's going to range over thousands of miles, then we're going to save everything in those thousands of miles, right? I mean, it's simplified, but that's
Sure.
the idea. We want to save everything in that landscape.
Right. Does that make sense? You save an elephant who ranges over so many spaces. If we're kind of concentrating on those guys, every other animal that lives in that same space is kind of going to be in that same space. Those animals resonate with you guys? Do you guys love some of those animals too that Drew and the SMART team, SMART Spatial Monitoring and Reporting Tool.
Yep.
SMART. I love that. It's kind of cool. So let's put you on the spot.
Sure.
Is it working?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think if you look at sites around the world, and especially sites in Africa, since that's where we work most closely, what we see is a decrease in threats to wildlife.
Okay.
Usually stable or increasing populations of the focal species, the species that we're trying to target for protection, and then also an increase in patrol effort, and usually a better organization of patrol effort as well. So patrols can go out, see what's happening in the field, and then adapt their strategies, their conservation strategies, to sort of better reflect what they're seeing on the ground. And so maybe instead of focusing in just one area of the park, they realize, oh, we need to focus in the rest of the park. We need to focus in this area of the park. And so we're seeing declining threats, stable or increasing populations, and improved patrols. And then globally, the software, like I said, is used in hundreds of sites. It's become the global leader for protected area management. So again, I just think it's really cool the impact that an organization like the North Carolina Zoo has had, not only contributing significantly to the development of a global leading software tool for conservation, but impacting conservation at hundreds of sites around the world.
That's neat. And I think something you said in there, something I have to keep reminding myself, is that the software program is for, you're putting the animal information in there, you're putting that data in there, but it's for the rangers to go, oh, there's activity going on here. So they create a map, and they send people to that location. It's resource poor or resource rich.
Yeah.
So the rangers can go, you know what? We need to send those patrols to the northwest or the southeast or whatever. Absolutely. And that's something that's kind of neat. I kind of got to remember that too. It's not just for the animals. It's really for the rangers to then go out and do something. Yep. I got to keep on reminding myself that too. So you came down from New York. You were involved with SMART then, which is really exciting. I think it's kind of neat you're doing that. What kind of changes have you seen since it kind of started? I think it's been about 13, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, it was about 12 years.
Okay. How close?
It was originally designed for anti-poaching, right? As a conservation law enforcement.
That's how I learned it. Yeah.
And so rangers going out in the field and trying to protect against poachers. And what we've seen is that the software is really broadened to, like I said, to give that big picture perspective of a protected area. And so now we have a module for intelligence work. So going out and, you're not going on patrol, but you're talking to people, you're getting a sense of what's happening, and it's kind of unstructured. You have a module for ecological records. So we have the mobile data collection component. So people can go out with, your regular smartphone. Yeah. These are a little bit ruggedized, so you can beat them up, but you can do it on a regular smartphone and collect data in the park, and that's going to go right into the desktop.
Right.
And then as we move forward, we're looking at really exciting new stuff like artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so what we're trying to do is get all of these data coming into the desktop and use really complicated tools, but make it easy for people to use. So, you don't see what's happening, but you make it easy. Right. But it's this complex analysis that's going to help people make decisions. So rather than looking at maps across the year and making a decision, we can run an algorithm, we can run a computer program, and that'll say, oh, maybe you should work in April of this year, you should work in this area of the park.
Oh, even that targeted.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's still in early days, but it's really exciting stuff. And it's a really cool program. It's exciting to work with.
It's good to see your smile. It's kind of fun. It's fun when the experts get excited about it. And these are the kind of the contraptions that they're using out there. These aren't working right now. We'll come to you, Tiffany, so you don't have to move around. Are we okay here? Is this okay? So these are some of the ideas. Oh, she's pointing this way, so you guys see. So these are the kind of these, and they're pretty durable guys. Now these guys aren't working right now. So the rangers go around, they can put data in, punch the numbers, find things in. And the cool thing is this then goes into a database, goes in and kind of creates a database of information.
Yep.
So this is the collecting tool, and then it goes back and they put
And what's really cool about this is, when we started working in the field, so like 11, 12 years ago when I started working in the field, we had to use these devices, and these were really expensive. It was a big, big investment. And nowadays, the way that technologies have come along, you can use things like these smartphones. You can get them for hundreds of dollars, and that's really allowed rangers to use technology in the field in ways that it was never even imagined 10 years ago. It's so exciting to be able to efficiently get this stuff into the hands of rangers again in the field, because it's really powerful stuff.
That's cool. So to wrap it up real quick, on one quick question, yes or no, I think it is. Is this SMART kind of the future of conservation?
I mean, we think it is. We think we think so. It's the
I think so too.
Protected area management.
Yes, because it's helping the rangers, helping the people in those locations get out and make a difference.
Yeah, it's empowering the people on the ground, which is what we want to do.
I love it. That's fantastic. Isn't that so cool? I think it's neat that the zoo has been active in that program from the get-go, and bringing Drew in to do those, Dr. Burgle and all the work he's done. It's neat to see that that's working. And it was a dream, right? So somebody had this dream of how do we protect these animals? Come up with this really neat program with this software, this little ruggedized phone, and to see it work and to see it be successful. That's just got to be magic for some folks. All right, guys. I think that's it from us. We'll give you one more review. See a rhino back in the corner there still. We're so happy that went through. I think we're going to go talk about getting darted or something like that. So Leslie, let's be careful over there, okay?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Why are you?
I'm right here.
Why are you? All right. Hi, Leslie.
I mean, I'm being safe. It's fine.
Okay, you are safe.
I'm
We're all
very
safe
far
here.
away from darts right now.
You are very far away from darts.
Hey everybody! So we had a little bit of technical difficulties with one of our iPads, so we're just using this one instead. So I came to meet up with them. But this is a really great time. We had a couple of questions from the Marianas Island section that didn't get answered. So I'm going to answer for you those right now. And one of those questions was, what was behind me? Were those flamingos? And the answer was yes, those were Chilean flamingos. You may have heard them if they were calling or stomping around. And then the other question that I got was, are there any better types of nests or mist nets, anything better than a mist net for birds? And the answer to that is really the mist nets, that's very hard to say, are the best things for birds. Now, our mist net was not properly put away, so it was very hard to find out where kind of like all those little holes were and such, which is why you saw me and Nikki kind of like, the Three Stooges Two Stooges trying to get everything together. But mist nets are really great because they're light, they're hard to see, and there's like a pocket in it that gets those birds in it, and they can safely get them out. But we're here, hello, with our next person. I'm gonna scooch around here. Hello. And we also have Artie in the background. Yeah. He came even closer. This is Dr. Katie Delk, and we are super excited to be with you. First and foremost, we were talking about kind of where some of the places were on the globe that these things are happening, and we had the Marianas Islands. Now I gotta find it started at the Marianas Islands. Then we talked about SMART kind of around here in Africa, and Dr. Delk was specifically in Namibia. So that's right there. Namibia, right down here. So that's where we are right now, is in Namibia, basically, with Dr. Delk. Is it fine if I call you Katie or Dr. Delk? Either one. I'll probably go back and forth, because that's just kind of how I tend to do it. Hold on. Sorry, Wendy, I just accidentally hit Wendy, everybody. So what do you do here at the North Carolina Zoo, Dr. Delk?
So I'm the associate veterinarian. There's 2 veterinarians on staff, and we care for everything from the cockroaches in the education department up to the elephants like Artie. So
very cool. So you are a veterinarian. That should be one of your answers, everybody. Dr. Delk is a veterinarian, and you do a lot of stuff in Namibia. What exactly are you doing over in Namibia?
So I'm working with another veterinarian over there. They have to move animals around a lot for reasons such as poaching and getting them away from areas of drought, and that requires anesthesia since they're wild animals. And so he's asked for some help to try and improve the anesthesia drug protocols that they use over there.
Very cool. We actually were talking a little bit about that, moving animals from one place to another, and that's called like translocating, correct?
Yep.
So same idea from the Marianas Islands that we're doing over in Africa with these species over there. Pretty interesting. And as a veterinarian, is that kind of one of the reasons you were kind of chosen to go help out with this, because you have to do anesthesia here at the North Carolina Zoo?
Yep. So anesthesia is a big part of my job over here. Obviously, it's a little bit different because our animals are not in huge open spaces like they are in Namibia. We have similar species. We also have to dart them for anesthesia. So I brought one of the practice darts that we use. So this is similar to what we use in Namibia. But yeah, so this is why I was chosen. I do a lot of this over here, so it's the same thing in Namibia.
Very cool. Is there a specific type of animal that you were working with when you were in Namibia?
We're working with the black-faced impala, which we don't actually have in any zoos. They are really only found in Namibia. We have common impala in various zoos, and these guys are similar but a little bit bigger and more endangered.
Okay. I believe we do have a picture of a black-faced impala as well. So you said they're a little bit bigger than, say, I know it's really hard to tell, but like we have, okay, wait, first question. Impala's type of antelope, correct? Okay, so we have antelope here at the North Carolina Zoo, which you are very far away, so you can't see them. But if you had to compare it to, like, you know, Thompson's gazelle or bongo, where would you say the black-faced impala is?
We have Adra gazelle, and those are about the same size.
Oh, okay. I think that on me, that would be probably about here.
A little bit, yeah.
Probably much shorter for smaller for you.
Yeah.
It's like working with Steve, with Dr. Dahl, because she's also very tall and I'm very short. So you are using anesthesia to help translocate these animals.
Yep.
And because you're a veterinarian, that's kind of part of your wheelhouse here at the North Carolina Zoo. So have you like worked with any, you said you worked with other vets, like where was the vet that you worked with from? Where did this partnership start, would you say?
So he's actually from Namibia. He's employed by the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. So he works in all the park services around Namibia. And so a big part of his job is when they need animals moved or translocated from one area of a park to another for poaching, his job is to go in and safely do that. And so the challenge for them is that it's a very, very large area to work in, and they don't have a lot of options for monitoring or, you know, doing things that we would do here. You know, they don't have a lot of the equipment because they are working in such remote areas. So he was asking for help to try and improve some of the anesthesia protocols so that they don't need all that equipment. They don't need all the support that we use here.
So how do you do this? Like how does translocating these impalas work? If you can kind of like describe to us your job while you're there.
Yeah, so the job that we do, we're basically testing a couple of different protocols that they use and seeing which one is better and then how can you change it. So I brought some equipment with me that takes blood samples from the animals, and then it measures different things like their oxygen levels, their acid levels in their blood. And that tells us how they're doing when they're under anesthesia. So are they breathing okay? Is their heart doing okay? So basically we dart the impala and then we have certain things that we measure at different time points, you know, their heart rate, their respiratory rate, how relaxed they are. And then we take blood samples and then we compare all of that data to see which one is better.
Okay. This may be a silly question, but how do you dart an impala? I
We-
see you have the actual dart.
I have
right?
a dart, yes, and then we use a rifle, which is a carbon, it's a CO2 powered rifle, and we shoot it from a car. So basically, we drive up to a water hole where a herd of impala are. We identify the one that we want. It's started, and then once it goes to sleep within a few minutes, then we get out and we get all of our samples out there in the field. So it's pretty remote. It's usually just me, one other veterinarian, and then our field assistant as well. So.
Okay. Which I think we actually do have some pictures of. Our first picture is going to be with Dr. Delk with one of the black-faced impalas. I don't know if that picture got gotten up or not. Yeah, okay, good. And then the next picture will be taking actual research with out in the field, like you were saying, is completely out in the field, so it's very remote. And then our last picture is actually one of our keepers, Keeper Love. And it looks like there's a tube up in the Impala's nose. Is that the anesthesia, or?
That's actually oxygen.
Okay.
So they don't routinely use oxygen out in the field because it's a little bit dangerous to carry a tank around with you. But that's one of the things that we're testing out over there to show that it does help if you give them oxygen. And so that's just a tube going up into the nose, just providing some supplemental oxygen.
So the anesthesia comes straight from the dart.
Just from the dart.
Just
That's
from
the
the
only
dart,
thing they
which
get.
is terrifying to me, everybody. This dart is very scary to me. I do not like needles. So I keep
I'll
saying
put it
it.
away. It's just water.
It's okay. That's a personal thing. That's so the anesthesia is all in the dart, and then that tubing is actually the oxygen. I see, which makes sense why there's kind of that big tank next to it supplying oxygen.
Yep.
So the future of this project or research program, are you planning on going other places or working with different animals? Kind of what do you think the future of this is?
So we'll probably stay in Namibia since that's where the partnership is.
Okay.
And they've demonstrated the need, and we've been effective there so far. So we've got a couple more things we want to do with the impala, and then we're considering helping them out with some other species, so things like zebra and wildebeest, things like that.
So we did get a question on, is the impala going extinct?
So this species is not going extinct, at a speed that we can appreciate right now, but they are certainly threatened, mostly due to poaching and then habitat loss. So the species is declining. I think they're considered vulnerable right now.
Vulnerable, okay. So I had some, is this project, would you consider this project to be dangerous to either you or to the animals? Kind of, are you risking your lives every day when you're going out there? Or do you feel pretty safe as you're doing this project?
I definitely feel safe. I mean, I think there's always a risk when you're out in the field. And,
Yes.
when you're working with anesthetic drugs in a remote location, we're hours away from medical support if we need it. But, we take precautions, and this is something that I do every day at my work here. So I think as long as we do it responsibly, I definitely feel very safe over there. And for the animals, it's the same drugs that they would use during their normal business to translocate the animals around, and we're actually making it safer by adjusting some of the drugs. So before we had started working with them, they were occasionally having animals die under anesthesia just from some of the drugs. And with the study that we've been doing, we actually had no deaths in our animals. So definitely
Great
safer.
success. Yeah. And is this is helping them like learn kind of what is the most safe way basically too.
Yeah.
So that's really great to hear. One of our other questions is, why are they being poached?
So you guys can probably see in the picture that they're a really beautiful species. So the hides are taken by people who poach them, and also the males have really beautiful horns. So those are something that is prized as well.
Would you say it's more just for the aesthetic or the look, kind of like how ivory is with elephants and stuff like that?
Yeah, more like trophy hunting.
Trophy hunting, yeah. Do we have another question? Sure.
How do you measure the amount of anesthesia per species?
So a lot of it is, we obviously can't get our hands on the animals before we dart them. So we know what their rough weights are based on just working with them over the years. And so we can kind of extrapolate, which means we know what drugs work in a similar species, a similar size animal, and based on what has worked in the past, we adjust the doses for that. But that is part of this study, is that we've never gotten consistent weights on these animals. So with the data that we're collecting, we'll be able to make better drug recommendations and actually make some safer protocols, because it's not going to be quite as much unknown.
And my thought is part of that is exactly like we were saying you do here, because we can have, a 13,000 pound elephant or a couple ounces or grams salamander, and you may still have to administer anesthesia to both of them, and kind of taking that, well, if this makes sense, this makes sense. And I'm sure working with a lot of exotic vets around the world as well helps as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty neat that you were able to take this, what you do here at your job, and to be able to kind of take it out into the field and help other partnerships around the world as well.
Yeah.
So
And I learn as well. I mean, the guy that I work with has a lot more field experience than I do.
Yeah.
So he's darted thousands and thousands of Impala. So he's a really smart guy.
that's awesome. I love hearing about our partnerships that we have because we don't get to hear about it all the time. I know some of the bigger ones, but getting to learn just here working with you today, I've learned so much more about this project that we're doing, the partnerships that we have with people in Namibia, and it's really cool to see the zoo be able to do stuff here at the zoo and then also out around the globe, basically. So thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Dr. Delk, Katie. We are pretty cool, right? Everybody got to kind of learn how we're able to use our knowledge here at the zoo and administer anesthesia. Hi, Steve.
How you doing?
You've changed, Dr. Duff. And use that out in the field to help animals in their natural habitat as well. But glad Steve could come back over here. Just for a little bit.
Say hey.
It's weird not being near you sometimes.
I know, I have my buddy here. Don't have my buddy. Not here and present.
But we wanted to take a little bit of time to thank some people. We hope you really enjoyed this episode of Living with Nature. This was our last one for the school season. We do have dates already for next year. So go ahead, you can already sign up for those if you'd like on our webpage. The next year's dates are October 28th, November 18th, February 24th, and April 28th.
Nice job.
Thank you. I remembered that. Just kidding. It's written right there. Yes. They're not so. I'm not supposed to break the magic,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Over the fourth wall.
And so you could still go to our website and sign up for those. You can sign up for each one until 24 hours before it happens. You also can see some of our old Living with Nature episodes there. So if this was your first time hanging out with us, or you just want to revisit one that you've already seen before, go to our nczoo.org, to our schools and then Living with Nature page, and you can see each one of the episodes that we've done over the past a year and a half-ish.
Yeah.
And if you scroll down at the end of each page, they do still have the pre, during, and post activities on there, so you can do them. And then all the way at the bottom of each of those pages is actually the video that we took of the live feed. We're super excited that you all hung out with us today and got to learn some really cool things. A special thank you to our experts. Sad that Heather wasn't able to be here, our vet tech, but super excited we got to hang out with Nikki and
That was cool.
try very hard to get a bird
Some
out of
little
a mist net and look like hilarious.
I have to chime in something real quick. Leslie,
Yes.
I didn't do good today.
What happened?
I forgot to tell them about the tips in the crossword puzzle before your segment.
I even sent you an email
you
with
did.
everything.
And believe it or not, it was, they were right here. And I forgot. So can I ask if there were any, if you
Yes.
guys were looking into the crossword puzzle and things like that, and maybe you missed a couple answers, if you have any questions on those,
Go
shout
ahead
them
and
out.
ask right now.
Leslie probably knows all the answers.
I do.
To them.
Yes.
So that was my bad. I did say something before Drew and I talked. So I did bring it back up to the front a little bit. But yeah.
This is why I can't leave him alone,
No,
everybody.
I know.
So if you have any questions
Sorry.
about the crossword puzzle, feel free to ask us. You can ask us afterwards as well. And if you then we are also going to put this episode of Living with Nature up on that webpage as well. So you can go back, and if you didn't get some of the answers, you can listen to them there. And then also, so we want to thank our experts. We want to thank Nikki, who came in and talked about the Marianas
Yay,
Islands
Nikki.
and translocation of birds to other parts of the Marianas Islands. We want to thank Drew, who talked to us all about smart technology and how that's helping with anti-poaching around the globe.
Yep.
And we also want to thank Katie, Dr. Delk, who was able to talk about
That's
some of
exciting.
the neat anesthesia studies that we are doing out in Namibia. I would like to thank
little
Artie
turtle.
for being here, and just kidding. No, not kidding. I do love him. But also some other, since this is our last one of this season, some other thanks. We thank you all for coming and hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
You know, all ages, all if this is your first or you've been at every single one. And then we also want to thank all of the staff members who helped us out throughout this whole entire year.
So many. It's awesome.
Nikki, Wendy, Kathy, Beth, Linda, Tiffany, Cynthia, Brooke, Chelsea, all these staff members went in from our education department to help make this work. So it's truly been a team effort. We also have a special thank you. I'm not sure if you talked about them. We have a special thank you to our 2 zoo school.
I did.
Good. Our
I did do
2
that. I
zoo
remember
school students who weren't able to be with us today. We miss them very much,
Yes, we
Kaylee and Emma. And they've helped us with the past episodes. If you have any suggestions of like topics that you'd like to see or animals
good
you'd
idea.
like us to focus on, we can see if we can try to fit those in coming up episodes. Remember to check in your dates for last year. And we really hope that you all stay safe. Check out our webpage for all of those Living with Nature's episodes. And then if you just really want to see our faces, we also are doing zoo adventures on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You'll see some of us again hanging out on that, and you can use even more content to help, you know, learn about some pretty cool things. So,
Artie's providing compost.
yes. And with that, we're going to head out. It's me, Leslie, and Steve. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great day.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about the zoo is the role that we play in the conservation of animals in the wild to help stop these animals that all of us care so much about from going extinct.
Hey everybody, you probably know that there's a lot of animals that face extinction out in the wild. There's rhinos and lions. Well, here at the North Carolina Zoo, even though we are in North America, they're helping things in Africa and Asia because of this cool program called SMART. So I jumped into the back of a zoo vehicle and we went out into the plains habitat with Dr. Richard Bergel and Dr. Drew Cronin so that they could help me understand how their conservation work is aided by SMART.
SMART, which stands for the Spatial Monitoring and Reporting Tool. And it's basically a database and an app that allows rangers in Africa to collect information, data that's necessary in order to get ahead of poaching and prevent poaching before it happens.
And they explained to me that it's not that rangers aren't doing a good job at stopping poaching. That is a myth.
If you only have a very limited amount of resources and you have a fuel budget that can only allow for 3 patrols a month, then you have to make sure those patrols are going to be effective.
And that is why a simple program like this on a small device is actually helping.
And for example, we have an antelope right back here. And the same way that we're seeing that antelope here, that if they see one in the wild, they would enter in the species, the number, the sex, footprint on the ground, a snare or some other threat. They can record that. It records the GPS location so you know exactly where that happened.
Having this accuracy is key because some of the parks are huge and really hard to patrol.
Just one of the national parks that we work in is bigger than the entire state of Massachusetts.
It's also built to be very adaptable to these very different locations.
Some places where it's used, there's limited literacy rates in the rangers, and so you can set up the data to be collected using icons or images. Even if they can't read, you know, I saw an oryx in the field, you can put a picture of an oryx and they can record that they've seen that, or a shotgun shell or something like that.
They're not in a case. This is the actual phone. It's waterproof, shockproof, and you can bang it on stuff. These devices can handle that. And then they're also, just by virtue of taking the device out with them, they're recording information about what they're doing and where they're patrolling.
Across the board, there's usually some realization that patrols aren't deployed in the most efficient manner, whether that's realizing that patrols are staying within 5 kilometers of headquarters, or staying close to roads, or staying within the most easily accessible areas of the park. Rangers really respect the data once you can visualize it for them. They can see their effort reflected there on the screen. And even in some places, you're starting to have ranger teams compete for most patrol coverage or who can do a better job. And that's something that you wouldn't see if you just had pen and paper and then 3 months later they said, oh yeah, you've done a good job on that patrol 3 months ago.
The system is putting high-tech tools in the hands of people who might not have a lot of formal scientific training. So after a little bit of training by the zoo staff, the rangers can operate the system on their own.
There's a lot of threats to wildlife unless we change things significantly in terms of how wildlife is protected. A lot of iconic species like elephants, like lions, like rhinos could very easily go extinct in our lifetime.
The great news here is that this program isn't just experimental. They told me so many examples of how it's helping.
There's a number of examples from parks all around the world where, since implementing SMART and then using the information that's provided by SMART, poaching rates have gone down, animal populations have either stabilized or increased, and the amount of effort that's being put into protecting these places is also increasing along with that.
So if you didn't know, if you visit the North Carolina Zoo, you're directly affecting conservation in Africa and other places through the development of and the implementation of programs like this.
Yeah, I'm really proud that the North Carolina Zoo has been able to contribute to global conservation at the scale at which we are. More than 60 different countries are using the system. We're having an impact on wildlife populations literally around the world.
All right, thanks for watching that video. Remember, there are more videos we've done here at the zoo right here. Check them out and we'll see you in another video.